coachman would normally sit. She wore a bright blue silk surcoat that must have cost a fortune. The kirtle and fine linen chemise underneath were both torn at the shoulder, revealing unblemished alabaster skin. Her blonde curls had escaped from their plaits and streamed wildly behind her in the wind. Her delicate face showed both determination and fear. The coachman had fallen from his horse. He was dead, dragged along the ground by a foot caught in the stirrup. A crossbow bolt jutted from his chest. Another bolt was lodged in the coach. The carriage wasn't out of control. That much was clear. The woman was actively driving the team, desperately trying to outrace someone following her. She whipped her head around to look behind. Her pursuers had to be the same men who had killed the coachman. Not bandits. Bandits didn't use arrows. Fox heard the sound of additional hooves approaching. He guessed at least 4 more horses. His curiosity had gotten the better of him. He craned his neck for a better view over the blackberry bush. A mistake. The woman saw his face. They locked eyes for a moment. She wasn't afraid of him. Her look was pleading. Help. She didn't know who Fox was, but apparently she thought he couldn't be worse than whoever was after her. The carriage flashed by and she disappeared from view. At the same time, her pursuers rounded the bend at full charge. They weren't marauders, but men-at-arms, soldiers in service to a nobleman. 5, not 4. Although they carried shields, none of them wore mail armour, and their tabards matched the colours painted on the coach. The coat of arms on their shoulder badges and shields bore the symbol of long swords, arranged in the sign of the cross against a background of crimson and white. 2 of them had crossbows at the ready, and the others wielded broadswords. Their faces were contorted in vicious fury. It was clear that when they caught the woman, they would show no mercy. She might have stolen the coach, but the sheer terror on her face implied that she had good reason to flee with it. The woman was no common thief. Not the way she was dressed. The soldiers were so intent on their quarry that they never even glanced in Fox's direction as they raced past. Nobody else would ever know if Fox did nothing to save her. 5 against 1 was not a fair fight. Just let it go, he thought to himself. But his instinct was urging him to go after her, that she didn't deserve the horrible fate that would befall her if she were captured. He knew his brother James would have quoted the Bible, as he often did, from Proverbs. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act. Fox sighed. He had the power to act. The images of the woman's obvious terror and the soldier's cruel savagery flashed in his mind. If he did nothing to help her, he would know and she would know, and that was enough. At least he would have a death befitting a knight. With his bow in his hand, Fox kicked his legs. Alpugna, Zephyr. Attack. Without hesitation, Zephyr reared up and launched himself into a gallop. He knew it was time to go into battle. Chapter 2. Facing martyrdom by fighting 5 men-at-arms at the same time would indeed be noble, but Fox had no interest in the rules of chivalry at the moment. He was going to pick them off one by one. As Zephyr raced onto the road, Fox's hood and mantle flapped behind him. He steered by using his legs, and made the sign of the cross in the way he'd been taught to remember it: helmet, bollocks, shield, and sword. Despite his lapsed faith, the gesture remained his ritual before combat. The soldiers had a head start on him, perhaps 20 lengths, but their horses were slower than Zephyr. He would be able to catch up with them. The question was whether he could do it before they caught the carriage. They still hadn't noticed him. Surprise was his only advantage. The crossbowmen were his biggest concern. The weapons were easy to use while riding, but they were impossible to reload on horseback without a cranekin to crank the bowstring backward. There were no cranekins visible, so the crossbowmen would get only 1 shot each. Fox loosened the drawstring on his arrow bag and pulled 3 shafts from the leather spacers, with each arrow held in the gaps between the fingers of his draw hand. When he was within 7 horse lengths, the soldiers were right behind the carriage. Fox knew it wouldn't be much longer until they heard him in pursuit, even with the clamour they were producing. He put the first arrow against his bowstring while holding the other 2 between his fingers, and used his thumb to draw, a practice his ancestors